So thank you all for coming tonight. We're really happy to have Mara Arangete. She is a professor of psychology at Lincoln. She's been with Lincoln for 25 years. And as she said, she's done extensive research on a variety of subjects, written a number of books and articles, done a lot of grants. So we're happy to have her here, and let's give her a hand. One thing I wanted to say, I had some physical therapy today, and I was telling the people there about the program tonight and the subject, and oh my God, they started talking about, well, you know, I think Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are getting together. And they just started, all these people started saying, like, okay, why do we know all this? You know? And so it was amazing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you, Madeline and Christine, for having me. It's wonderful to be here. I spent a lot of time in this library when I was when my godkids were young, and they lived in Jeff City, and I would take them here. But now that's been many, many years ago. Madeline told me it would be okay if I just take off my mask, and I will just stay far away from you. But just so you know, I am vaccinated. That doesn't keep me entirely safe, but it makes it a lot lower. Otherwise, sometimes it's hard to project my voice well enough so that you can hear. And if you're like me, I'm hard of hearing, so I'm real sensitive to that issue. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Tonight, my program is Fanatics, Inside the Minds of Celebrity Worshippers. So we're going to look at some of the psychology of people who are really, really into celebrities. And like Madeline said, my name is Mara, and you can call me Mara. You don't have to try to pronounce that last name. I even have my students call me Mara. And I'm coming over from down the street, Lincoln University. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself, apart from what Madeline shared with you. I have been researching celebrity interest in celebrities, admiration for celebrities, celebrity worship since 2001. And I got into it in a strange way. A lot of times, what people are doing in terms of their research is a reflection of who they are and what their interests are. But I have to admit, how I got into this field was a little bit different. I was presenting a paper back in the early 2000s on some entirely different subject at a meeting in Florida. And after I presented the paper, a guy from the audience came forward and he said, you know, I really liked your presentation. We started chatting. And he was a researcher from a university in Florida, and his main area of research was celebrity worship. His name is Lynn McCutcheon. And it turns out, I didn't know it at the time, but Lynn was a huge force in the field of celebrity admiration, how people feel about celebrities. So I got to talking with him, and he said, you know, we should try to do something together. And so after we got back, we emailed back and forth, and that relationship became a 20-year-long adventure into celebrity worship for me. And why I say that is because I really have never been a big fan of celebrities. In fact, I'm one of those people that can kind of say, oh, she looks familiar, but I'll never be able to name who it is. Does anyone else feel that way? You know? And if I asked you right now, which I will later when I tell you about our survey, who's your favorite celebrity? Does a name come to mind right away? Does it or no? For a lot of people, you know, that will be hard to do. And that was me. It was hard for me to say what was mine. But I learned a lot about the psychology of celebrity worship. So that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about today. So coming up, what I'm going to talk to you about is first, we're going to test your celebrity knowledge with some current celebrities. And then I'll give you a little brief history of celebrity culture. And then I'll talk about the difference between a fan, somebody who admires celebrity, and someone who worships celebrities. And I'm going to call that a celebrity worshiper, somebody who's super, super into celebrities. I'll talk a little bit about the parasocial relationship, which is the relationship that celebrity worshipers have with the celebrity. Then I'll talk about celebrity worship, and this is kind of a spoiler, poor mental health. Because what we see is people who are really into celebrities tend to have pretty poor mental health. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about some trends over time in celebrity worship, and then we'll have a discussion about where we go from here. Okay, first, let's test your celebrity knowledge. Okay, I'm really glad a young person is walking in. This is important. Okay. Who is this?
Billie Eilish.
Okay.
Wow. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you can say. What?
I have no idea.
Okay. Some of you don't know who it is, and some of you know who it is.
I have no.
Okay, so you're right. It's Billie Eilish. Somebody said Billie Eilish. And tell me, what do you know about Billie Eilish?
She's a singer.
Okay, she's a singer.
She's won many awards already.
She has won many awards already. Yeah. Somebody said she's young. How old is she? Do you know?
She's not even 20, is she?
Right. She's I believe she's 19 right now. She's been writing music since she was very young. Anyone know what age she started writing some music?
First hit was when she was 13.
Yeah, and she was even writing music before that, even at age 11. So she was quite prolific very early. She has admitted in public to having a neurological disorder. Anyone know what that neurological disorder is? She mentioned
Tourette's.
it is Tourette's syndrome. You are correct. We've got some knowledge of celebrities in the house. She was somewhat controversial for a cover shot she did in Vogue magazine. What was she wearing? Yes.
She was wearing a negligee corset type.
You are correct. You are correct. Okay, very nice. Beautiful. You guys get, as a group, a C. We're doing group grade. Minus. Just kidding. Okay, what about this one? Who is that? Elliot Page, you are correct, yeah. Formerly known as Ellen Page, right? Came out as being transgender in what year?
2020.
2020, you are correct. Okay, very nice. And famous for what big breakout role? Juno, very good. Other films?
Smart people.
Okay, what else?
The Umbrella Academy.
Umbrella Academy, very good. Any more?
With Leonardo DiCaprio. I forgot the name of the movie. It's Inception.
Inception, yeah, Inception, X-Men, it's another one, very good. Prior to coming out as trans, this person came out as lesbian, yeah. Back in 2014, very good. Okay, next. I won't spend too long on these. Who is this? Olivia Rodrigo, yes. And what is she famous for?
She's an actor on High School Musical, the musical, the series.
Thank you, the Disney Plus series High School Musical. What else is she famous for?
She just came out with an album.
Just came out with an album, hit song, really shot to the top. It's called Driver's License. Beautiful, very nice. One of the things that she's kind of been in the celebrity gossip for is what's her ethnicity? Everybody was like, what's her ethnicity? Anyone know what she answered that question as? No? With a name like Rodrigo, many people think Hispanic, right? In fact, she came out as saying she was German, Irish, and Filipino. Okay. Next, who's this guy?
Drake.
Drake. Exactly, Drake. Okay, tell me what you know about Drake.
He was in Degrassi when he was a kid.
Okay, in Degrassi when he was a kid. What else? Where's he from?
Canada.
Canada, nice. Exactly. Let's see. What religion is Drake? Any idea? You could take a guess. There are not too many options, right?
Muslim?
No, in fact, he is Jewish. He was born of a Jewish Canadian mother, an African American father, and his father was quite famous himself. Does anyone know what his father was famous for, or what business his father was in? He was a musician also, and he played with Jerry Lee Lewis. His uncle actually played with Prince, also a famous musician. Okay, let's see. Who's this? Justin Bieber. Is this really making you feel out of, yes, I know.
Wrong era.
It's always been me too. I've always been like, who is that? He looks kind of familiar. Oh, okay. What are Justin Bieber's fans called? The Believers. Yes, yes. And okay, this is a question for Christine Boston, who almost went to college with Justin Bieber.
Oh my gosh.
What does Justin Bieber? What was his aspiration to be in what profession in life? And he still wants to do it.
I have no idea. I blocked all that out when I said he might be a student, you might have to teach him.
He wants to be an architect. Okay, he speaks another language besides, fluently, besides English. What language?
French.
He does speak French because he's from
Canada.
Canada, and he went to a French immersion school there.
He was born in London, Ontario.
Oh, very nice. We've all got our little facts about it too. Okay, a couple more. Who's this guy? Weekend. The Weekend. And where is he from? Do you know?
Canada.
Also Canada, right? His parents were immigrants to Canada. Where did they immigrate from? What is he famous for, by the way? I didn't even ask you that. He's a musician. Yeah. Where do you think his parents immigrated from, anybody? From Ethiopia. Both his parents had immigrated from Ethiopia. Let's see, what soundtrack did he do for what movie?
He did one for 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey was his big breakout soundtrack. Okay. Who are these people?
Kim Kardashian.
And?
Kanye.
Kanye West, okay. You've seen these faces before. And what's their relationship to one another?
Separated, aren't they?
They're actually divorced. Yeah. But they were married. Kim has been married how many times total?
3 or 4?
3. This was her 3rd marriage. How much did their wedding cost?
Who cares?
Good answer.
Can't count that high.
I know, right? Take a guess.
10 million.
Try 30 million for our wedding. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, let's move on now that we know that you guys have an excellent knowledge of celebrity culture. Well, celebrity culture, the beginnings. So the concept of fame is a very old concept, but the types of people that were famous in the past are not the types of people that are famous today. So, for example, throughout history, we've had famous people who were a lot of times military heroes, politicians, sometimes writers like Shakespeare, for example. But it really wasn't until the late 1800s to the early 1900s that we really modernized this concept of a celebrity. And at that point, the celebrity became largely the entertainer. Now, that's arguable, because you may say that, well, for example, Barack Obama or President Trump are celebrities, so to speak, but not in the same vein maybe as Kim Kardashian. Well, I shouldn't even put Donald Trump in there because he was on TV before, right? But anyway, there's celebrities are generally entertainers at this point, or at least the big celebrities are. And that had to do with the advent of newspapers and magazines and principally photography, because we started getting spreads like this. It's funny because I got this off the internet and I just read it as I was reading. I hadn't really looked at it carefully, but look at this. Movie school students forced to endure petting. Oh gosh. Okay, anyway. The internet, I'm going to argue, is changing celebrity culture yet again. Celebrity culture is changing now because when we were growing up, well, anyway, most of us, except for the young people in the room, when we were growing up, we could catch celebrities on television and things like that. But in the middle of the night, you know, you couldn't go and find some specific information about a celebrity. Now you can. Now, in fact, you can just, probably now, in the middle of the night, you can go out and find out what Kim Kardashian ate for lunch today, probably. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? You could get tons of information all the time about celebrities. So that, and another thing that's possible is interactivity, which we didn't have before. So, for example, take Kim Kardashian again. She can send out tweets, and she does send out tweets to millions of followers every day. Well, why should we care about celebrity influence? You know, really, it's out of most of our minds, and especially if we don't care about celebrities. Well, the reasons why we should care about celebrity influence is because studies show that celebrities have the power to influence a number of different things. One is that they have the power to influence values, and I'll talk a little bit later about materialism. Materialism is placing a high value on material objects, needing things, right? That's one big effect of celebrity culture. Political views. Celebrities have a lot of power to influence political views. For example, when they endorse candidates. Celebrities have a lot of power to influence health-related beliefs, and we've seen that with the vaccine, right? Celebrities who have endorsed the vaccine can get many, many people to get the vaccine. Purchasing behaviors, and this goes right along with materialism. We do see people who are very interested in celebrities purchasing. They put their money where their interests are. They will buy things. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the difference between fans, somebody that uses celebrities for entertainment purposes. They're just fans, they like it, it's fun, they enjoy watching these celebrities, and then worshipers. So celebrity attachment is going to vary from a kind of mild entertainment area, and that's where most people are. You say, oh, I like, you know, The Weeknd. I like the music. It's fun. I sing along to it on the radio. Versus a kind of extreme attachment. And so when I talk about celebrity worshipers, I'm talking about a more extreme attachment. So let's see what that extreme attachment looks like. The extreme attachment is often called celebrity worship, and it tends to be somewhat obsessional. They keep searching and searching for more celebrity information. And this idolization is somewhat similar to religious worship, where the celebrity is the sort of perfect idol to be beheld, right? And so the word fan, in fact, comes from the Latin word fanaticus, meaning mad, enthusiastic, inspired by God. And so it really has that connection, even the word, to a kind of religious worship. Okay. I want to talk to you. There's a kid back here, and her name is Karina. And I just want to credit her right now with turning me on to the idea of putting this into the talk, because I had a conversation with her where she told me about all of this. You can learn a lot from young people. How old are you, Karina?
15.
She is 15 years old. She's teaching me a lot of things. One of the things she taught me is the word stan. The word stan refers to the celebrity worshiper. It is a popular term that refers to the celebrity worshiper. Why do they call them stans? It comes from a song by Eminem. You know the rap artist Eminem? And I don't know if you know the song, but in the song, he sings about a celebrity worshiper whose name is Stan. And this guy is sort of like a stalker celebrity worshiper. Anyway, so, portrait of a Stan. Karina told me about this person named Ollie London. And Ollie London is a British-born social media influencer. And Ollie is particularly obsessed with K-pop, which is Korean pop music, and particularly with a band called BTS. Have you heard of BTS? It's a boy band, a Korean boy band. And more particularly with one boy in this band whose name is Jimin. And this is Jimin, and this is Ollie. And Ollie has had 18 plastic surgeries to look like Jimin. 18 different plastic surgeries. Ollie identifies as transgender and also transracial. Now, the transracial part is the controversial part. Ollie says, it explains the transracial by saying, I do equate it to the same as being transsexual. I feel like I was born in the wrong body. I should have been Jimin in a different life. Ollie identifies as Korean, and in fact had surgeries to try to create a Korean eye shape, and has declared themselves to be Korean, and particularly surgeries to make them look like Jimin. I have a little video on there. I don't know if it's really even worth playing, but if you click on that link, that'll take us to the video. Do you want to? You might have to hit escape first to get out of the PowerPoint presentation. You know what I'm saying? Hit that escape key.
It's still loading right now, so.
Oh, okay, if it's a pain, we won't worry about it. Okay, there we go. We'll just give you some pictures. Okay, just play that.
Is it okay to change your race? Well, this is what British influencer Ollie London is trying to do. Ollie has undergone 18 plastic surgeries to look Korean. So here is Ollie before his last operation, and here he is afterwards. And you can see he probably had a canthopexy, which elevates the corners of the eyes. Now he has changed his name to Jimin, the famous member of BTS, and is identifying as Korean. This has led to thousands of death threats. So what do you think? Is this okay?
You want to answer that question?
It's good money for plastic surgeons.
Yeah, yeah, right.
It's great.
Well, you could get rich as a plastic surgeon if you had enough celebrity worshipers, right? Yeah, yeah.
We had a staff member in her 40s who was quite obsessed with BTS.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got a niece who is too. Yeah. BTS seems to have this amazing fan base. Just tremendous. They're making a ton of money. It makes you wonder what will happen when they grow up. Can you sustain that?
Surgery and stay young.
There you
Or
go.
ever.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's move into kind of understanding what is the relationship between the celebrity worshiper and the celebrity themselves. We call this, in the biz of celebrity research, we call this the parasocial relationship. So para meaning different than the typical. So this is a one-sided relationship. And in this relationship, Ollie, for example, knows everything about Jimin, everything. But Jimin knows nothing about Ollie. Okay? So the worshiper knows everything about the celebrity, but the celebrity doesn't know anything about the worshiper. You follow me? Okay. There's a sense of intimacy that's created by knowing every detail about someone's life. A sense of almost a friendship. Actually, okay, Karina, you sent me down a YouTube rabbit hole, okay? I kept going and going and going. There are videos of Ali actually getting married in Las Vegas to a cutout, life-size cutout of Jimin. And they actually gave Ali, in the end, a certificate of marriage and marriage license. Apparently you can marry anything, even a cardboard cutout, if you're in Las Vegas. With this relationship, we see an incredible loyalty, a willingness to invest lots of time in exploring the celebrity's life, lots of money in buying products related to that celebrity, or buying things that would make you look like the celebrity, like the plastic surgery. So the big question became for us as researchers is, what would make a person form this kind of relationship or seek out this kind of relationship with a celebrity? What do you think? What kind of person does this?
Obsessive compulsive?
Yes, that's one of the qualities I'll talk about. Anything else comes to mind?
Something really missing in there.
Yeah, someone's very lonely.
Loneliness, something missing, unfulfilled. Yeah.
Is it a form of narcissism?
Oh, you guys are nailing it. You guys are nailing it. Beautiful. Well, this all is going, and I'm going to talk to you about some of these findings, but I'm still kind of setting things up so that you understand the kind of structure behind it. Remember who I was talking about, Lynn McCutcheon, who I met at the meeting in the beginning? By the time I had met him, he had already put together a nice theoretical structure for why this happens. And the structure was, he called the absorption-addiction model. And that was the idea that celebrity worshipers lack, or they seem to have weak sense of identity, sense of who they are, and lack also meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
And yeah, go
Oh, no, I
ahead.
was gonna say, that sounds an awful lot too about people who follow cults. They have a very weak identity.
Similar, yeah, and are probably similar in some of these other respects that I'll talk about as well, yeah. The parasocial relationship, the one-way relationship with a celebrity, strengthens the identity because suddenly Ali now has an identity. The identity is Jimin. It just takes on that identity. And then provides a psychological fulfillment in the sense of a feeling of intimacy, a feeling of kind of purpose. And the process, so there's two things, the absorption and then the addiction. And Lynn hypothesized that the process of searching for celebrity information is somewhat addicting. It's somewhat, as you were saying, compulsive. And so they kind of can't stop doing it. Like, you need more and more and more and more of that information about celebrities. Okay, well, I'm talking to you now a little bit about our research and about our findings. We, for 20 years, 2001 to 2021, have used a survey that we've used the same survey in the same form for 20 years. And what it asks you to do is name a favorite celebrity and then you answer a series of questions about the celebrity. And it's actually got 26 questions on it, so it's not just 3 questions. But the questions are in 3 basic subgroups. So we've got 3 factors. One is entertainment social. Entertainment social is that mild attraction to celebrities. So an example of the question is, okay, so I want you to think about your favorite celebrity. If you can name one, if you can't name one, just think about your one you're kind of into. Okay, so I want you to just sort of answer these questions to yourself. Keeping up with news about my favorite celebrity is an entertaining pastime. Would most people say yes to that? Okay, and this is going to be a strongly agree to strongly disagree scale, 5-point scale. Okay, most people will be okay with this one. This is mild, this is not pathological, this is not extreme. Here it gets a little bit more extreme. I consider my favorite celebrity to be my soulmate. Are you dropping off at this point? Yes. Okay. How about this one? If I met my favorite celebrity and she asked me to do something illegal as a favor, I would probably do it. Okay. You can see we're veering into the more pathological toward the end there. So we're really looking at these two categories as being the more sort of worship categories. Okay. So what we can do when we have data, and we've had data, like I say, now for 20 years, we were able to find a number of different correlates of people who are really, really into celebrities at the point of being intense, borderline pathological. So I'm going to go through some of the findings we have. So who is vulnerable to celebrity worship? One huge, huge predictor is age. It's adolescents. Adolescents are way more into celebrities. Now, I want you to think back to your adolescence, unless you're currently in it. But things will change for you also, Karina, because Karina knows an amazing amount of detail about the life of Billie Eilish right now, okay? And at some point in my life, I knew a lot of detail about celebrities' lives too. And I was into celebrities, and I remember, do you remember the Tiger Beat magazine? Okay. Thank you. And you'd pull out the poster, you know, just
Bravo.
okay, yes, thank you. Okay. We used to be more into celebrities than we are now, if you're an older person. Do you remember adolescence and being, liking celebrities? Yeah. So that's very strong. Age is a very strong factor. When we look at some of the personality factors, we see a number of different things that you've already pointed out some of. Materialism, that emphasis on material culture, on needing things, wanting things, being validated by the things you have, and things like that. That goes right along with compulsive buying. As you pointed out before, with obsessive compulsive issues, we do see obsessive compulsive behaviors, and a lot of that kind of goes along with some of this impulsiveness, the tendency to just do without thinking too much, low enjoyment of solitude, high boredom proneness, dissociation and fantasy proneness. Feelings about themselves in the world. How do celebrity worshipers feel about themselves in the world? Just like you mentioned over here, a little bit of narcissism, lack of humility, which is not really too surprising in the sense that the celebrities themselves are pretty narcissistic, right? And so this idea that I sort of deserve the adoration of my favorite celebrity is sort of what gets passed off there. Low self-esteem, which I know seems contradictory, but often goes along with narcissism. A low identity clarity. Body dissatisfaction, being unhappy with one's looks, with one's body. And then, along with that, positive attitudes about cosmetic surgery. And again, that sort of explains the sort of Ali London phenomena. But it's, even if a person has not had plastic surgery, we do see in celebrity worshipers generally positive attitudes toward plastic surgery. Cosmetic surgery, I guess what they call it now. Okay, so let's look at the cognitive style, the way that celebrity worshipers are thinking. We tend to see low cognitive flexibility, a kind of rigidity in the thinking of celebrity worshipers. There's sort of a right and a wrong, and this is correct and that is incorrect, and no really ability to think in more complex ways. We do see low intelligence, low creativity, low critical thinking. And we see this concept that we call in psychology the belief in the just world. Yeah, and do you know what that is? Are you guys heard of that? The belief in the just world? It's this.
The world is just and
Yes.
the people get what they deserve.
Exactly, the belief that the world is a fair place and people get what they deserve. And so what that means is when you see somebody who, for example, is rich, you think, well, they deserve it, they must have worked hard. And when you see someone who's poor, then you think, well, they must be lazy. Do you follow me on this? It's this idea that the world is just. If you get sick, it must be because you didn't take care of yourself. You follow me? And of course, it's a false belief. It's a cognitive bias, but we do see it in people with celebrity worshipers. And again, that goes along with that sense of rigidity in thinking. Finally, we can look at the relationships of celebrity worshipers to other people. And what we find is that they tend to be lonely. They tend to exhibit insecure attachments with parents and also parental absence. So insecure attachment is like, it's an attachment with parents, but it's kind of an unhealthy one. Probably some of you remember this from taking psychology at some time or another, insecure attachment. Yeah, I'll describe it a little bit later. This relationship style that celebrity worshipers have, being very possessive, very jealous, very clingy, fearing that they will be abandoned, is a typical sort of insecure parental style as well. And so when you have insecure parental attachment, you tend to be that way with the parent, and then later on you tend to be that way with romantic partners. Lack of intimacy, few romantic relationships. They're kind of lonely, they're kind of socially isolated. They have these soulmate beliefs, these idea, what's a soulmate?
Someone who thinks like you do.
Yeah, but it's this idea that there's someone out there for me.
There's just one person.
Yes.
It's just that
Just
one
gotta
person.
find them.
Yeah, you just have to find them.
It's kind of depressing when you think about it that way. What if you never run into them, right? And well, of course, and most of us think that relationships are adaptive, and you find ways to work things out with other people. They're not perfect to begin with. Finally, psychological well-being. What we see in people who are really worshipful about celebrities is that they tend to be depressed and anxious as well. So there it is. Are you feeling like you're getting a picture of who these folks are? And it's kind of a sad picture in many ways. Okay. So what can we say about celebrity worshipers in general? Well, one thing we know is that adolescents are most celebrity worshipers. Now, some people carry it into adulthood, but many people drop it, right? And so adolescents are big celebrity worshipers. And it's interesting that it comes at a time when they start to identify with people other than their parents. So little kids are not worshiping celebrities. But as soon as they start to kind of pull away from parents and start to identify with others, they start to become very into celebrities. So we think it's probably linked to that identity formation, finding one's identity. How do you find an identity as an adolescent? How do you find your unique self? Well, you look around and you go, I want to be like her, I want to be like him, I want to be like her, right? And so in some sense, celebrities are serving as role models. The fact that we see impulsiveness and things like that probably goes along with the fact that these are adolescents. Yeah.
What age does this start at?
Well, it starts getting around 14, 15, and up through the 20s we see, good numbers. Yeah. And then it kind of drops off pretty precipitously over time. Okay, so you mentioned before, I think it was Madeline who mentioned that there's something missing. There's something missing in their lives. And that's where we're going in terms of the recurrent theme in the research is that something is missing and there's a compensation for it. And that compensation is the parasocial relationship with the celebrity. It supports the absorption-addiction model that says that it's this lack of stable identity, that it's the lack of intimate relationships, that it's this low self-esteem that in fact causes some people, to gravitate towards celebrities in a very strong way. So I say, what's the harm? Let's go back to what's the harm. Because here we're painting a picture of a kid, mostly young person, who is socially isolated, who is anxious, who is depressed, who's got some problems, right? So what's the harm if they find some intimacy with a celebrity, even if it's parasocial intimacy? Well, I'll argue that the harm really, in my view, after years of looking at this, is that we get this internalization of material values. That leads to kind of compulsive buying, conspicuous consumption, and some of the problems that go along with materialism. Another big problem is the internalization of beauty standards. And I was talking to a friend, a young person. She's in her 20s today. Actually, my roommate, she's in her 20s, and she was telling me, we were talking about seeing yourself, and she was amazed to hear that I was telling her that when I was a kid, I just don't think I saw myself that much, because the only way we saw ourselves was to look in the mirror. And if you weren't looking in the mirror, you didn't see yourself. And the pictures weren't posted everywhere because there weren't very many pictures. Because the film camera was very expensive. And there was no such thing as a selfie because nobody turned one of those things on themselves. Right? And so my mother passed away early this year. And I got an album, and in that album, a photo album, right, which nobody does anymore. But I'm guessing you guys have photo albums. Yeah. And that photo album is my whole life from start to finish. My whole life, one photo album. Probably got, 30 pages tops. You know what I'm saying? Now, people see themselves constantly, all the time. They're seeing themselves and seeing themselves and seeing themselves and altering their pictures and creating new filters and making themselves look good. And, with those film cameras, they were so expensive. And you get a crappy picture. You remember this? You go get it developed, and then you get it out and you go, oh, I look like terrible there. But you didn't throw it away, because you just paid good money for that. Now it's just delete. They take out all the bad ones, right? And so we've got this incredible internalization of beauty standards. We're looking at celebrities all the time. We're looking at ourselves all the time. Another young person was telling me about the Instagram face, and that is the features of a face that people are looking at most on Instagram. And so, or the type of face that people are spending longer looking at in, Instagram and Facebook, and they all know how long you look at things. They're timing. They're timing you, how long you pause on that. And it turns out that people are liking, in the sense of looking at for a long time, at particular types of faces. And in fact, those faces, now people are trying to be those faces, because that is what the algorithm then starts to feed you, and you try to look. So people are going in and saying they want this particular filter when they go to cosmetic surgery. Say, this is what I want to look like, and it's not even a real thing.
I notice, though I'm older, that I don't always recognize people when they're not on Facebook, because they don't
look like that.
And I feel terrible, but I'll think, oh my gosh, she looks so much better on Facebook. I will think that, and I'm mad. I'm sure they think that about me too. But I try not to take very many pictures of myself, but I know it's weird. It's so
strange, isn't it?
It's kind of sad. It's really sad.
It is sad.
Well, I think when we were growing up, also, you would see celebrities in magazines or on television or something, and you knew it was kind of doctored, you know, in some sense. You knew that wasn't what they really looked like in real life. But now everything out there is doctored. It's so easy to doctor it yourself. You know?
I really noticed that with the Friends reunion, because I thought they looked nothing like the magazine covers. You know? Sorry.
Okay.
So what facial characteristics are people striving for then? Like, is it like the classic beauty concept, you know? I mean, I don't really know that.
That's a good question.
But
I don't know.
what's attractive usually to
Apparently it's pooching out your lips.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I noticed all those pictures, they look like they're ready to kiss you.
They're ready to what?
Oh, thick eyebrows.
Perfectly groomed eyebrows too. We used to never care about our eyebrows, and now they're so important.
Yeah.
Now they have eyebrow stores or something.
Oh my God.
No, really.
Oh, what I've learned, and this is crazy.
False eyelashes.
I've been teaching and working with students on Zoom, right? And so anyway, this is me at home in the summer, and I got a Zoom meeting, you know, and I'm thinking, oh God, I gotta go do my hair and put on makeup and at least put on a shirt. Pants, nah, you don't have to worry about that on Zoom. But what my roommate showed me how to put on makeup on Zoom. So I don't have to put on makeup. It puts on makeup for me.
Oh, goodness.
And though I'm moving my head around, as long as I don't move it really fast, the makeup stays on. But if I move it too fast, my lips go, you gotta be careful. Okay, so anyway, I think the harm, you know, one of the ways in which I see harm is this sort of obsession with beauty standards and also materialism. Okay, I want to talk about our newest study on celebrity worship, and it came out in just this year, in 2001. And what we were looking at here was that entertainment, social, intense personal, and borderline pathological. Now you remember these were the more concerning areas that we call celebrity worship, progressively more concerning. And we looked at all of the studies that we and others had done over time in that period of time, in those 20 years. So we were looking for a trend over time, and I just pulled some of those data for you to show you how quite dramatic it is. Our 5 earliest studies, these were the mean scores on these various, and like I was saying, most people veer toward the entertainment social, so the score there is higher. And there were, you know, relatively low scores as mean scores on these others. Look at what's happened with our 5 latest studies up in 2021. It's dramatic. It's dramatic. People are worshiping celebrities now more than they ever have. So again, I want to kind of come back to what I was talking about in the beginning when I was talking about this concept of celebrity culture has changed a lot over time, and we know that the internet has changed it a lot. It's really not too surprising when you think about the fact that you can know probably today if Justin Bieber went to the gym and had a workout. In fact, there might be pictures of him going to the gym or the grocery store or whatever. You showed me a picture of Billie Eilish going to the grocery store, right? We can have all of these candid, intimate moments with celebrities. Celebrity families, yeah.
Quite notably, that picture of her going to the grocery store was very popular in headlines.
And it kind of went viral, right?
Yeah.
And you know why it went viral? Because she looked fat.
So the what? Fat?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not her yet.
She showed me the picture. She didn't look particularly fat to me. She looked normal. But it went crazy. And then everyone, Karina, tell it. I'm not going to tell them. What do people do
Well, people made a lot of illustrations of her and a lot of things just like fat shaming her. And she's not particularly overweight either. She's pretty normal. But she's worn a lot of oversized clothing over the years to avoid this and also sexualization at a young age.
Because remember, she started when she was very young.
Right, and so this was just her dressed in normal clothes to go to the grocery store. So, yeah.
And that's why it was so controversial that she came out on the cover of Vogue with a corset on, because this was the first great sexualization of the celebrity. And notably, it was when she came of age, after age 18, that then she went sexualized, right? So, interesting. I hope to alarm you with this data. We were alarmed. We were alarmed. Celebrity worship is going up. Let me talk about some of the correlates of that. Also of note, other trends over time. Depression and anxiety in young people is at a level we have not seen it before. It has skyrocketed. It has skyrocketed. We are now, as psychologists, worried about kids your age, Karina. We're seeing depression and anxiety at levels that we've never seen before. Worrisome. Social isolation and loneliness are also showing similar increases among our students, Gary. Among young people, we're seeing some pretty scary stuff. Teens are also reporting a very high pressure to look attractive, to fit in socially. I want to just give you a little bit of data on mental health before the pandemic, and these are from the CDC. This is prior to the pandemic, so this is 1999 to 2016, and what's in blue here is increases in suicide rate, with darker blue meaning higher increases in suicide rate. I mean, look, it was going up before the pandemic. Problems in young people were going up before the pandemic already. This is not just pandemic, but now let's take a look at the pandemic. Pandemic mental health, these are also data from the CDC and other agencies. Here we see prior to the pandemic, here we see early on in May of 2020, and here in December of 2020, this is depression and anxiety. I mean, the pandemic just shot things forward, you know. So we're seeing real mental health challenges among young people, especially among young people. So mental health is on the decline, and celebrity worship is going up. Whether the two are connected in a causal way is a good question, and we don't know the answer to that. Is the decline in mental health driving the increase in celebrity worship, because the decline in mental health causes people to then go out and look for functional alternatives to having real relationships, right? And then another big question is, are celebrity parasocial relationships with celebrities, are these actually harmful or helpful? Because you know what? If you're a lonely kid who's sitting in their room obsessing about their body image and their beauty standards and what they don't have, guys, not surprising that materialism is an issue, is it? When you're comparing yourself to celebrities, they're always going to have more. You're always going to come up short. They're always going to be more beautiful. They're always going to have more things than you have. So you always come short. So you're feeling like crap and you're sitting on your bed with your phone, and you start to form a relationship, albeit a parasocial relationship, that one-way, one-sided relationship with a celebrity. Does it have to be harmful? Could it be helpful? Well, we can think of, here's Kim Kardashian up here. And what she's doing there is she's got a lollipop. And that lollipop she's hawking as a weight loss. A weight loss technique. Well, we know who that's aimed at. It's certainly aimed at young people, because none of us are eating lollipops to lose weight. Okay. But then we got Oprah down here, who's started a girls' school in Africa. There are celebrities who are doing great things, right? Celebrities can be good role models, can't they? I'm going to turn it over to you guys at this point. I've got some questions for discussion. I don't know that I have answers, but I hope that I've got your minds turning. Let's start with that first one. Can celebrity worship be healthy? And under what circumstances? Yeah.
I think you alluded to it just now when celebrities are doing really positive things in the world. I like what Oprah's doing and, starting schools, working on peace movements, trying to secure more clean water. I think anything like that that inspires somebody to do good work in their community or in their world, I think that's an example.
And it's not all necessarily related to the physical.
Right.
Physical appearance.
Right.
Although certainly Oprah's had
Well, she's had
her
her
share of physical struggles
Right.
with appearance,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and if you know, Claudia knows this, but I buy books in certain areas, we all do, and I buy books in the 600s, and diet and health comes into that, and there are an unrelenting number of books on diets.
Yeah.
I almost hate to spend more money, like, well, here's the latest one, we have to get it, because people want it, but,
People want it,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah.
I think, like, an example of a celebrity doing good things is like, well, Billie Eilish registered a ton of young voters because she is in the age of, this was the first election she could vote in. She gets that age range and registered a ton of young people.
Yeah.
to vote.
And he's probably more influential in doing so than lots and lots of other people could be, right? Especially with
And
young
also,
voters.
I think now, you don't even have to seek out information, like, I don't really seek out information on Billie Eilish, but I follow her on Instagram.
So what,
then I
okay, so tell
find
me
it.
what that means. What do you get from Billie Eilish on Instagram?
I get like, well, all of her like tour dates, her magazine covers, her
She's,
whatever
the company or
decides to
whatever,
put
the
on
Billie
there,
Eilish company
also.
sends that to you. We're assuming she doesn't post it.
Well, it's like a feed, and then, yeah.
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 What, how is it influencing you?
Oh, I think, honestly, I feel like I compare myself more than I did when I didn't have social media. And so I veered away from social media for that reason.
Because you start to compare yourself to, say, Billie Eilish or to other people on social media?
Yeah, or just people, even people I know on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that whole phenomenon that everybody looks happier than you are, traveling more, happier family, all of that, that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better job, whatever it is, that's how it seems.
Yeah.
And like everything is so edited, and even if it's not edited, all the pictures are like selected out of that person took like 25 pictures, and they selected the best one with the best angle and the best lighting. So I think a lot of people come feeling like they come up short because they're comparing themselves in reality to somebody that even if they're not edited is still not how they would look if they were standing next to them.
Psychologists call that upward comparison. So when we compare ourselves to someone who's doing better than us, that's upward comparison. We have also downward comparison where we can compare our lives to someone who is worse off than us. Upward comparison tends to make us unhappy. Downward comparison tends to make us feel grateful. So the antidote to that, we're doing this lovely little study I'm doing with a young researcher on what we're collecting data for it now, but we're calling it sad fishing. And sad fishing is when people post really sad stuff on social media about how depressed and horrible and how their lives are terrible. That's what we need to be reading. Because then we can do the downward comparison instead of the upward. Yeah, I worry about all the upward comparison that you're going through. And I worry about it with celebrities, but also, like you were explaining, with your peers.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of
I
upward
think-
comparison.
Yeah, and I've never been that involved in social media
Yeah.
compared to the people I know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I've had other friends tell me the exact same thing. And, yeah.
Yeah, worrisome, yeah.
But it's not just young people. I mean, I'm almost 40, a lot of my friends are in their 40s and 50s, and I see them becoming friends with people that they don't know, and then comparing their lives to them, being like, oh my God, they have fabulous lives, or people I haven't talked to in decades, or a decade because I haven't been back in London where I went to grad school, and them being like, oh my God, you have such a fabulous life, you must be like always happy. And I'm like, dude, I have rough days, I just don't necessarily share that on social media.
Yeah.
But I have these friends who think that I have the best life ever and everything's perfect, and I'm just like,